Go, 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 shawty. It's your court day. We gon' prepare like it's your court day. Other party beware cause it's your court day. And you know we gon' have your back cause it's your court day. Find us in the court with clients we support. Got resources you need if your counsel falling short. We into doing law, got videos for y'all. So come give us a call. You need help with the law. You find us in the court with clients we support. Got resources you need if your counsel falling short. We into doing law, got videos for y'all. So come give us a call. You need help with the law. When I roll up out front, you see the logo on dub. Nah, let me stop. Welcome to another What Does That Mean Wednesday and another resource. I am Markwell Cade with Cade Mark Law, your favorite neighborhood lawyers. Today on What Does That Mean Wednesday, we talk bail versus bond. What does that mean? After someone's arrested, you usually hear the terms bail or bond. Sometimes you hear the terms used interchangeably, but they don't mean the same thing. Bail is not bond, and bond is not bail. With people using them interchangeably, it's easy to get confused on the differences between the two, but that's where we come in. So what is bail? Understanding bail is easier to grasp when you think about what happens after an arrest. After an arrest, typically a person goes before a court for their first appearance, also known as an arraignment. During their arraignment, they have to plead guilty or not guilty. And then, if they choose to plead not guilty, the court will set a trial date. But in the meantime, the court must decide whether or not that person will be remanded, which is just a fancy way of saying they will be taken into police custody and go to jail, or if they will be free to go until their trial date. In the cases where they're free to go until their trial date, that's where bail comes into play. Bail is something of value that person gives the court in exchange for their freedom until their trial date. They say, hey, you can have this in exchange to let me go free, and I promise I'll be back for my court dates because I kind of want that back. That has something of value for me. So that naturally leads to the question of where does bond come into all of this? What is bond? Bond is when the defendant can't pay their bail, or when the court sets such a high amount because this defendant is a danger to society, or they're a flight risk, or they have substantial assets, or there's a lot of factors that go into it that we're not going to go into here. But generally speaking, bond is normally a higher amount, way higher of an amount, but it comes into play when a defendant can't pay bail, or when a court finds that a defendant needs to have a higher amount set before they can be released. Generally speaking, there are going to be 5 major differences between bail and bond. The first major difference between bail and bond is who pays the money. In a bail situation, the defendant or the defendant's family or whoever is posting that bail is the one who's going to pay. For bonds, because of the amount that's usually in question, they are paid by a bail bond company. The second major difference between bails and bonds is that bail is a contract between the defendant and the court. The defendant is giving the court something in exchange for their freedom until their trial date. Whereas bond involves 3 parties: the bail bonds company, the defendant, and the court. There is a complicated situation here, but basically the bail bonds company tells the court, we'll post this large amount of money on behalf of the defendant because the defendant paid us a premium to post this money on their behalf in the event they don't show up. And the court, your incentive to let them go is you'll get this money if they don't show. So basically, who's involved in a bail transaction and who's involved in a bond transaction are going to be different. The third major difference between bail and bond is how much must be paid. In a bail situation, the defendant or the defendant's family or whoever's posting that bail must post 100% of that bail before the defendant is allowed to go free. In a bond situation, only a percentage of the bond is paid to the bond company. And then in the event the defendant doesn't show up, the bond company is on the hook for the full amount. They're doing this in exchange for a premium from the defendant and usually collateral that equals that amount. The fourth major difference between bail and bond is the refund situation that occurs in the event that the defendant shows up and honors their end of the bargain. In a cash bail situation or in a bail situation, the court usually gives the defendant their money back, or whoever posted that bail, their money back. Minus administrative costs and court costs, of course, because the court has to get theirs. But in a bond situation, usually the bail bond company is not refunding that premium. The defendant or the defendant's family, whoever's posting that bond, is agreeing to forfeit that amount of money that they're paying, usually 10 or 15% of the full amount, just to get the defendant out of jail. They're not going to get that money back. So even if the defendant attends every appearance, they're not getting those premiums back. The fifth major difference between bail and bond is the consequences for failing to appear. Whether you fail to appear and you're on bail or bond, best believe the court will issue a warrant for your arrest. But in the situation where you're on bail and you fail to appear, you're not getting that money back, ever. In this situation where you fail to appear and you're on bond, you may have a situation where bounty hunters can come after you. In some states, some laws allow for bonds companies to employ bounty hunters to go find you because you didn't appear, and that bond company had to pay a lot of money to the court because you failed to appear. Be wary of this if you decide to skip bond and you have a bond company or live in a state where a bond company can have a bounty hunter. It also means that in a bond situation, you could have the police and Dog the bounty hunter looking for you at the same time. And this is also why bail and bond aren't the same thing. If you fail to appear in a bail situation, you're just forfeiting that money. You're not necessarily gonna have more than the police looking for you, although the police is enough. But in a situation where you're on bond, you could have Dog after you and the local police force. You don't want this situation. You want to show up for all of your court dates, generally speaking, but you definitely don't want to not show up for court in the case where you're on bond. That's all, folks. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been Bail versus Bond. What does that mean? Another edition of What Does That Mean Wednesday. I am your favorite neighborhood lawyer, Markwell Cade, with Cade Mark Law. Protect your brand, grow your business. Stay frosty, my friends. We'll see you next time. We hope this was helpful.